The smoke thread seemed endless, continuously pouring into his arm. Gradually, Wang Lin's left arm became rougher, with intricate rune marks flickering on his skin, now visible, now hidden. After a stick of incense had burned, when the last wisp of smoke finally emerged from the ice pit and merged with Wang Lin's left arm, a sensation akin to the one he felt when he first gained Yimo's right hand surged in his heart, one that could tear apart the heavens and the earth. This feeling swept over him in an instant. He slowly moved his left hand's fingers, the sound of cracking echoing around him. After a long while, Wang Lin clenched his fist, stood up, and took a step into the void. In that moment, his entire being appeared in midair above the ice pool. Raising both hands, a powerful feeling resonated within his mind. After merging with Yimo's left arm, a drastic change occurred within his brow and eyes. The star marks of the three ancient clans flared intensely. This change was a premonition of the ninth star's emergence, with the star vortex vaguely appearing. Closing his eyes, Wang Lin could sense the ancient Tao force within his body and the formidable energy surging through his arms. Moments later, he suddenly opened his eyes, and as his gaze fell upon the ice pool below, a flash of brilliance shone in his eyes. In an instant, both his hands lifted, and with a powerful tearing motion through the void, he forcefully tore downward. Tear the sky. With a low roar, Wang Lin gripped the void with both hands. As he tore it apart in opposite directions, the heavens and earth rumbled. The ice pool below trembled violently, and with a resounding crash, a massive rift suddenly appeared within the ice. As soon as the rift appeared, it emitted an earth-shattering sound. The ground shattered, layers crumbling, as countless ice shards exploded outward. The entire ice pool collapsed. The earth trembled, and after the collapse of the ice pool, another massive crack appeared. The rumbling echoed through the air as the crack, like a serpent, quickly spread. The ground began to collapse, and the rift extended even deeper. In the core area of the cave mansion, surrounded by black mist, the enormous cauldron had faces drifting upon its surface. Anyone who entered the cauldron would see their face reflected there. But at this moment, most of these faces had disappeared. Even the face of the Rainbow Taoist had completely vanished. In contrast, Wang Lin's face, alongside the war ghosts, appeared clearly on both the front and back of the cauldron, emitting waves of black light that seemed to draw the surrounding mist. At this moment, in the space of the second flower within the 5 flowers and 8 gates, a large crack had suddenly appeared in the ice-sealed flower's stem. The crack tore open more and more, until it completely pierced through. With the tear of heaven technique, when Wang Lin tore apart the earth, he raised his head to glance at the ice-sealed world in the distance. Without hesitation, he stepped toward the rift in the earth, and his figure disappeared. The 7 colors are no longer a threat. Now, I must deal with that war ghost. He is cautious, suspicious, and difficult to design against. Wang Lin's figure reappeared in the 3rd space within the 5 flowers and 8 gates, where the 3rd flower was located. It was a place of gray, devoid of life, suffused with deathly energy. Even the 3rd flower before Wang Lin seemed to have lost all its vitality, wilting and decaying. Its leaves were dried, its petals withered, and it was dead. Looking at the 3rd flower, Wang Lin knew there was no need to enter. The 3rd flower had long been destroyed years ago. Gazing at the flower for a while, Wang Lin's eyes flashed, but in the end, he gave up on the idea of setting an ambush here. This kind of trap could only work once. If attempted a second time, the war ghost would not fall for it. With a soft sigh, Wang Lin stepped forward and disappeared without a trace beyond the 3rd flower, heading toward the 4th space within the 5 flowers and 8 gates. As Wang Lin's figure materialized in the 4th space, a black flower appeared before him. It was terrifying to behold, with black liquid dripping from it. Over countless years, it had turned the ground into a vast, black sea. The sea was eerily calm, without a single ripple, except for this sinister flower blooming out of it. As Wang Lin stared at the black flower, he could smell the stench of blood, a scent that had lingered for a long time, now accompanied by an overwhelming sense of decay. The blood stench emanated from the Black Sea below. After a moment of silence, Wang Lin knew time was running out. After a brief hesitation, he decisively moved forward, heading straight for the black flower. Just as he was about to merge with it, he paused. He seemed to hear a roar coming from within the flower. That roar, Wang Lin recognized it. Tuo-san. Wang Lin froze for a moment, his eyes sharpening. He glanced carefully at the massive flower before him, big enough to obscure a small part of the sky. In a flash, Wang Lin stepped onto one of the petals. Black light flickered around him, and he vanished without a trace. About half an hour after Wang Lin entered the fourth blossom, everyone still remaining in this place arrived one by one. Upon seeing the pitch-black Dead Sea on the ground, their expressions all became solemn. But there was no hesitation. One by one, they stepped into the world of the fourth blossom. In this dim and murky world, the sky was shrouded in fog that stretched endlessly. The fog rolled and swirled constantly. Below, the mist thickened, and faint roars seemed to emanate from it, shaking the spirit. There were also some floating platforms here, varying in size, and on some of these platforms, dried-up corpses, reduced to mere remains, could be seen. It looked as if all their flesh and essence had been drained away, leaving only skeletons. Wang Lin stood on a stone platform, looking around with a wry smile on his face. He couldn't help but smile bitterly. He was familiar with this place. This was where he had obtained the Dao Gu inheritance, the ancient burial ground. I should have figured it out earlier. This is the tomb where Xia Mo was buried, arranged by the seven-colored Immortal Venerable. How could the seven-colored Immortal Venerable create such a place for no reason? It turns out this is the fourth blossom of the 5 flowers and 8 gates defense of his cave abode. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a complicated expression. He was extremely familiar with everything here. No wonder I vaguely heard Tuo-san's voice earlier. Tuo-san, isn't he in this ancient burial ground? After a brief moment of silence, Wang Lin walked to the edge of the stone platform and looked down into the mist below. He remembered that he had sensed there were several more layers beneath this mist, one of which carried an incredibly terrifying aura that had caused him to stop exploring years ago and choose to leave. Moreover, when he obtained the inheritance from Xia Mo, he had felt a heart at the very bottom of this ancient burial ground. That was clearly Xia Mo's heart. The inheritance of Xia Mo. Apart from his left eye, only his heart remains. Wang Lin had already obtained a significant portion of Xia Mo's inheritance. He knew that Xia Mo's body had collapsed, with only his arms severed, and that was what had remained. If he could absorb Xia Mo's heart, then his inheritance would reach completion. Of course, that completion still lacked the left eye. However, if he could absorb Xia Mo's heart, even without the left eye, it was very likely that Wang Lin's ancient god star marks would reach 9, and even his demon star marks might become 9 as well. In that case, Wang Lin would become a 9-star ancient god, and his Dao ancient power would surge dramatically. 9-star ancient god. If I fully release my body, how powerful would I become? Wang Lin closed his eyes and pondered the pros and cons. Meanwhile, on another side of the stone platform, Xian Luo stood, staring into the mist below. After a long time, he sighed lightly. This is where that child Xia Mo died. After a moment, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes, a decisive expression in his gaze. Wealth and danger go hand in hand. Throughout his life, Wang Lin had wandered between life and death. The cultivation he had now was mostly earned through his own struggles and relentless efforts. Why not take another risk now? Additionally, the terrifying aura from the second-to-last layer, combined with some of the memories from his 7th color third soul, gave Wang Lin an inkling of what lay ahead. The ancient burial ground. Back then, I didn't dare to venture to the next layer, but now that I've returned, I can't back down. Wang Lin made up his mind, stepping straight into the mist outside the stone platform. His body immediately plunged into the misty sea below, the mist howling around him. Wang Lin, head downward, descended like a fish into the depths. No one knew this place better than he did. He had already obtained all the maps of this layer long ago, and no longer needed to upgrade platforms to obtain more maps. Everything was in his mind, including the location of the entrance to the next layer. If anyone understood this place second only to Wang Lin, it would be the third consort of the Celestial Gate sect from the Immortal Firmament continent, who was still a virgin. At this moment, the third consort drifted through the mist, her gaze wandering as she looked around. After a long while, A complex expression appeared in her eyes. So, the fourth blossom is here. The third consort had obtained a large portion of the map years ago. Here, the calmness in her heart was stirred, rippling with indescribable emotions. It was here that she had met Wang Lin, and with his help, she was eventually sent out of this place, avoiding the fate of being trapped. She had always preferred solitude and was not good at interacting with others. She had only agreed to become the seventh colored immortal venerable's consort for her sect's sake. Even in the immortal firmament continent, she had few friends. Most of the time, she focused on her cultivation. Now, in this cave abode realm, her personality had kept her isolated from the other immortal consorts, never mingling with them. One could say that Wang Lin was the first person in her life to help her. This unfamiliar feeling left her confused and conflicted, and she could not explain it to herself. He had once helped me, and I must repay him. I want to go home. I wonder if my master is still there. And my younger sister, she is more talented than I am. The third consort fell silent, her face showing a hint of longing. The moment Wang Lin entered the graveyard, within the ancient burial ground, in the grand hall where Wang Lin had inherited the Tao ancient legacy, whether it was Tua Sun or Tu Si, they opened their eyes. The mist around them was filled with strange transformations, something Wang Lin understood well. He had encountered many of the fierce beasts within this mist before. As he fell, he accelerated and decelerated at times, avoiding clusters of approaching beasts, heading deeper into the core, toward the penultimate level. That penultimate level was the very place where Wang Lin had once sensed a terrifying aura. Back then, he had been frightened by it, but now, the more he thought about it, the more he realized that the aura was most likely the strongest killing move of the Rainbow Immortal Venerable, as recorded in the Third Soul's memory, the EC puppet. After entering the core of this cave abode, every time Wang Lin killed someone, he would immediately perform the soul sacrifice method left by the Rainbow Immortal Venerable in his Third Soul. Each ritual created a subtle connection between him and the EC puppet. Having killed many now, Wang Lin was 80% sure that the terrifying aura in this penultimate level was indeed the EC. The existence of the ancient burial ground was likely created by the Rainbow Immortal Venerable to nurture the EC puppet. This puppet was crafted by the Rainbow Immortal Venerable through lifelong ritual, and it reached its final form after Yi Mo's death. Wang Lin mused, his eyes flickering. Piecing together the memories from his Third Soul, he had already made most of the deductions about the EC puppet. As he continued forward, the mist began to thin. Following the memory of the entrance to the next level, Wang Lin moved cautiously through the mist, growing closer. Before long, when the mist had cleared to the point where it could no longer obstruct his vision, a vast expanse of black land appeared beneath him. This land was endless, covered with black algae-like vegetation. They swayed gently, releasing wisps of black mist into the air. From a distance, it was a rather eerie sight. There was no sunlight here, but the vegetation glowed with a faint, eerie light, allowing Wang Lin to see everything clearly. It was eerily silent. The vegetation continued swaying, releasing black mist, without any changes as Wang Lin approached. He remained vigilant, his divine sense spread around him. He was all too aware of the dangers in the ancient burial ground. With great caution, he flew forward. In his memory, the entrance to the next level was not far ahead. Half a stick of incense later, as Wang Lin advanced, the scenery ahead began to shift. He saw a vast, barren ground 1,000 feet away, with no vegetation. The eerie light flickered above a long-abandoned teleportation array. This array had been there for countless years, still functioning silently, its light flickering, emitting waves of pressure. Upon seeing this array, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. The moment he approached, a deafening roar erupted from the array, shaking the very air. The roar carried an extremely terrifying aura, which immediately filled Wang Lin's mind, halting his steps and causing his heart to pound. At the moment the roar echoed, the algae-like vegetation on the ground began to sway violently. A large amount of black mist was forced out, rising into the sky. The ground trembled beneath him, the waves resembling the rise and fall of the sea. It took a long time for the sound to dissipate. Wang Lin, pale-faced, stood silently outside the array for a long while, before his eyes hardened with determination. If my analysis is correct, this crisis isn't too great. On the contrary, it could very well be a great opportunity for me. The EC puppet, Wang Lin said to himself, no longer hesitating. Once he made a decision, he would not delay. He stepped forward and entered the ancient teleportation array. As his foot touched the array, it roared to life. The eerie light surged, piercing through all directions, stabbing into the mist, and spreading for tens of thousands of miles. Within the mist, the third consort was advancing quickly. She didn't know her exact location, but she had a rough sense of it. Suddenly, she stopped, her eyes catching a glimpse of the eerie light cutting through the mist ahead. Her eyes flickered, and she cautiously approached the source of the light. After a stick of incense, the third consort saw the ancient teleportation array on the ground. At this moment, Wang Lin had already vanished from the array. She hesitated for a long time outside the array, before gritting her teeth and stepping inside. The penultimate level of the ancient burial ground was much less foggy than the previous one. Wang Lin moved carefully through this layer. Though there was light, it was a blood-red hue, making the place resemble a blood-soaked hell. Mist swirled all around, and from within it came eerie, piercing howls. Crimson eyes flickered into existence, locking onto Wang Lin. Yet as his primordial Tao aura spread outward, the fierce beasts lurking within the fog dared not fully take form. After all, Wang Lin was no longer the man he once was. With his vigilance, there was no immediate danger. He sped forward, but suddenly the mist roared into a frenzy. At the same time, a deep growl thundered from ahead, so close it felt as if it erupted right beside his ears. The roar shook the entire layer, nearly shattering it apart. Wang Lin's body jolted to a halt. The force behind that sound blasted against him like a storm. He staggered backward 100 zhang before he could steady himself, his face pale, his heart shaken. That single roar had nearly injured his spirit. What a powerful presence. If this really is the EC puppet, and if I could wield it. He stood in silence for a long moment, then pressed onward. As he drew closer to the source of the roar, a mountain appeared before his eyes. It wasn't tall, but it was shrouded in rolling red mist. The instant he approached, the fog rippled and twisted, forming into an enormous bald head. Its features were blurred, indistinct, yet its mouth opened wide and unleashed a heaven-shaking roar. At the very first echo of the sound, Wang Lin's hands formed seals. He swept his arms before him, unleashing the Tao ancient power within his body. The aura wrapped him, shielding him from the crushing force. Even though he was still tens of thousands of zhang away, the roar slammed into him like a hurricane. The protective barrier of his origin collapsed back into his body with resounding cracks. Blood welled at his lips as he was blasted back another 1,000 zhang before the sound finally faded. The misty head melted away, dispersing once more into red fog around the mountain. It is easy. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, certainty flashing within them. Unfortunately, though I've sacrificed many souls, it's still not enough. To command this thing, I'll need the soul of a great divine ability cultivator. His brow furrowed as he stared at the mountain. Deep in thought, he suddenly lifted his head, his gaze shifting into the distance. It's her. His figure blurred and vanished into hiding. Not long after, golden radiance shimmered across the horizon. A massive golden gates drifted closer, and behind it sat the third consort, cross-legged. Her face was pale, blood at the corner of her mouth. She fixed her eyes on the mountain, fear flickering in her gaze. She had never expected that in this layer of the ancient burial ground such a terrifying entity existed. Clenching her teeth, she rose to her feet. Taking advantage of the brief silence before another roar erupted, she called out into the mist. Wang Lin, I know you're here. I mean no harm. With my cultivation and divine abilities, I can aid you. Please, show yourself. Her voice echoed, but only the rumbling fog answered. No response came. Her expression dimmed, and she shook her head. Controlling the golden gates, she slowly began to retreat, intending to search elsewhere. But before she could leave, the fog atop the mountain churned violently again. The bald phantom loomed once more, and another thunderous roar split the heavens. The world warped under its might. Ripples of invisible force swept in every direction. The earth quaked, the sky twisted. The third consort's expression shifted sharply. Her fingers moved in frantic seals, and she bit her tongue, spraying a jet of blood onto the golden gates. The gate flared with blinding light, clashing against the roar. The impact reverberated like thunder, and the gate shattered instantly. Her face turned ashen as she staggered back, summoning 4 more gates in rapid succession. Each gate was obliterated one after another, but the force gave her just enough time to retreat 1,000 zhang. Preparing to unleash another divine art to counter the lingering shockwaves, she froze as a cold voice cut through the chaos. "What business do you have with Wang?" The air rippled, and Wang Lin suddenly appeared before her. His right hand swept back, effortlessly dissipating the remnants of the roar. Against his body, such an aftershock was nothing. "Wang Lin." The third consort gasped, surprise flashing in her eyes before it softened into joy. Yet she quickly masked it. "You, back then, within this tomb, you once helped me. This time, I wish to help you. There's no need. This place is too dangerous. Don't linger here." Wang Lin's gaze was icy as he glanced at her, then turned away, already seeking a great divine ability cultivator to harvest for a soul sacrifice. I can help you." The third consort bit her lower lip and spoke, raising her right hand. On her wrist was a string of golden beads that emitted a soft glow. "This item was given to me by my master. It can transform into the 7 golden gates. If you wish to enter that mountain peak, this item can aid you." Her icy expression softened slightly. With Wang Lin's intelligence, he could tell that she genuinely wanted to help him, especially when he recalled the scenes with this woman in the ancient graveyard years ago. After a brief moment of silence, Wang Lin's gaze shifted to her wrist. "What do you want in return?" Wang Lin asked, slowly pulling his gaze away. "I have no demands. You helped me, so I want to help you once." The third consort spoke softly. Hearing her words, Wang Lin's expression turned peculiar. After pondering for a moment, he calmly replied, "What happened back then was a simple favor. You don't need to worry about it. You helped me, so I want to help you." The third consort looked up, gazing at Wang Lin seriously. In that moment, her beautiful face seemed to possess a unique charm. "But I don't plan to enter that mountain peak right now." Wang Lin rarely smiled. The third consort was momentarily stunned, unsure of what to say. "What's your real name?" Wang Lin asked, glancing up at the distant sky. Suddenly, a cold glint flashed in his eyes. "Tang Shan." The third consort hesitated for a moment before speaking softly. "Open your 7 golden gates. Step back a little." Wang Lin's voice turned cold, his eyes fixed on the distant sky. Tang Shan's gaze sharpened. Her cultivation was not weak, and she immediately sensed something was amiss. Without hesitation, she followed Wang Lin's instructions, waving her right hand. Golden light enveloped her body, and 7 rotating golden gates appeared around her. In the distance, a long rainbow streaked across the sky, rushing toward them. Within that rainbow was a massive stone platform, glowing with swirling light, and standing atop it was a young man in a green robe. Wang Lin's eyes met the young man's, and their gazes clashed, causing a roaring sound to echo in their minds as if their gazes had unleashed a divine technique, striking each other. Wang Lin remained still, snorting coldly, but the young man staggered slightly, taking a step back. His gaze toward Wang Lin was filled with intense battle lust. "Wang Lin, you've finally been caught by me. I am Yun Yifeng. Our battle on the 5-element star was rushed and unsatisfying. Today, dare you not use any tricks, nor the Li Guang Bao, and fight me fairly." The rainbow dissipated, and the massive stone platform floated in midair. Yun Yifeng, his green robe billowing, looked down at Wang Lin. "If you defeat me, in this cave mansion's core area, Yun will obey your every command." Yun Yifeng stepped forward, landing gracefully from the stone platform, standing 100 paces from Wang Lin. In his eyes, there was only Wang Lin, not the third consort, Tang Shan. Staring at Yun Yifeng, Wang Lin's eyes grew colder. He was in need of a great divine ability soul to offer in sacrifice, and this person's arrival saved him the trouble of searching. However, the man's cultivation was limited, and with just 1 soul, Wang Lin analyzed it still wasn't enough. Back when this man was on the 5-element star, their strength was evenly matched, but that was when Wang Lin had been slightly wounded after breaking through the 5 elements formation. At that time, his heaven-tearing technique wasn't complete. Now, Wang Lin stood at the peak of his cultivation, and with Yi Mo's left hand, his heaven-tearing technique had reached perfection. Its power was astonishing. Wang Lin didn't take Yun Yifeng seriously. However, if this man were to lose and obey his command, it was something Wang Lin found intriguing. Words alone are not enough. Wang Lin spoke slowly. Yun Yifeng's gaze flashed. He raised his right hand and slapped his brow, instantly producing a drop of oath blood that shot toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin caught the blood and focused his mind. At that moment, Yun Yifeng's eyes flickered with cold light. He swung his large sleeve, and a long blade materialized in his hand. He stepped forward, raising the blade to strike at Wang Lin. With a roar, the blade was like a sky-splitting cleaver, cutting through the air, gathering the power of the heavens and earth, and rushing toward Wang Lin. Just as the blade descended, Wang Lin took a step forward with a cold snort. His right hand clenched into a fist, and within him, the sound of beating drums echoed. The power of Tao Ancient surged, gathering in his right hand, and he punched toward Yun Yifeng. With this punch, the sky seemed to change color, the wind howled, and the entire sky twisted, as if on the brink of collapse. Wang Lin's punch struck the void, but a Tao Ancient phantom appeared, charging straight at Yun Yifeng's incoming blade. In an instant, the blade and the fist collided with a deafening crash. The long blade shattered, breaking into countless fragments, while Wang Lin's fist shadow also split and vanished into nothingness. Yun Yifeng's body retreated 100 meters. As he laughed heartily, his hair spread out, and with a flick of his right hand, a black light appeared in front of him, forming a cloud of black mist. He extended his right hand into the mist, grasped something, and drew out another long sword. Just as he raised it to strike down at Wang Lin, his right hand once again plunged into the mist. In the blink of an eye, 7 long swords were pulled from the mist by Yun Yifeng. As each sword swung, they caused a deafening roar and a swirling momentum. The 7 blades almost merged into one, creating a wave of overwhelming sword light that contained an earth-shattering force, rushing straight toward Wang Lin. 8 blades sever body and soul. Yun Yifeng shouted in a low growl. His body flickered, and 7 overlapping phantoms appeared. His form split into 7, each rushing forward. Every body grasped a long sword, and together they aligned into a straight line, striking with immense power. From a distance, the 7 swords and 7 bodies seemed to form the shape of an 8th blade. 2 bodies formed the hilt, 4 formed the blade, and 1 formed the tip. The world seemed to distort and darken as if, at that moment, only Yun Yifeng's ultimate divine ability remained. When the 8 blades descended, Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. He raised both hands and suddenly ripped through the sky. With this motion, 2 solidified hands appeared in front of him. The arms were rough, adorned with numerous flashing runes, clearly the arms of Yi Mo. As Wang Lin moved, the 2 phantom arms grabbed the void and tore it open with force. A thunderous roar filled the air as the void was split wide open, creating a massive rift that connected heaven and earth. From afar, it seemed as if the very fabric of the world was being torn apart. The rift exuded an ancient aura and contained an overwhelming destructive force. As it collided with the 8 blades, a tremendous explosion echoed. One of the blades, along with Yun Yifeng's body, was directly obliterated. Then, the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th bodies and blades shattered in the ensuing chaos. Is this the fair and square fight you're looking for? I don't even need to use body immobilization art. If you want a fair fight, I'll give you one. Wang Lin's voice was cold, cutting through the booming sounds of the world around them. As soon as his words fell, he tore through the heavens once again, ripping apart the space before him with a violent motion. The crashing sounds shook the world as Yun Yifeng's 5th, 6th, and 7th bodies and blades all collapsed in the wake of this destruction. With a muffled groan, the shattered bodies scattered smoke, which slowly gathered in the sky, reforming into Yun Yifeng's true form. He spat out blood, his face pale, stumbling backward. Looking up at Wang Lin, fear filled his eyes. This fear was no less than what he felt when he saw the Li Guang Bao unleashed. Now, is this battle fair and square? As Yun Yifeng retreated, The rift in the heavens slowly began to dissipate. Wang Lin stood still, his white hair fluttering. He raised his right hand, holding the oath blood that Yun Yifeng had given him, and asked him. Yun Yifeng fell silent, a bitter feeling in his heart, and slowly nodded. The moment he nodded, the oath blood in Wang Lin's hand emitted a dazzling red glow before vanishing into his palm, becoming part of the oath. Yun Yifeng was a man of honor. He hadn't tampered with the oath blood. Defeat was defeat. He didn't realize, however, that this act spared him from a deadly fate. Had he shown even the slightest hesitation, Wang Lin would have killed him without a second thought, even if it meant wasting some time. But now, Wang Lin had a better plan. His gaze shifted toward the distant sky, and faintly, he sensed 3 familiar auras rapidly approaching. Right on time. Perhaps I can use their power to test that person. Just as this battle concluded, the mist swirling around the distant mountain peak twisted and writhed. The mist soon formed a bald head, and a roar echoed as a fierce wind howled. Wang Lin's body was enveloped in the Tao ancient aura as he retreated 100 meters, preparing to face the oncoming force. Tang Shan, having witnessed the previous battle, tightened her focus and followed Wang Lin's retreat. The roar reverberated through the heavens, and at that moment, a distorted figure appeared in the sky, stepping through the void. Yun Yifeng, kill this person. Wang Lin's eyes flashed coldly. He raised his right hand, grasping the void, and immediately a flash of blood light shot out, the blood sword roaring as it hurtled toward the blurred figure. A primordial sun appeared before the figure, radiating endless light. It clashed with the incoming blood sword, and with a thunderous explosion, the figure materialized, stepping back a step. It was none other than the Palm Sovereign. As his figure solidified, not far off, Yun Yifeng gritted his teeth, swallowed several pills, and dashed forward. Once again, he performed the 8 blades sever body and soul, the 8 phantom figures joining together to unleash a devastating blow, aimed directly at the Palm Sovereign. As for Tang Shan, the woman showed no hesitation at all. With both hands forming seals, she waved outward, and immediately, 7 golden gates materialized around Yun Yifeng's body. The same 7 golden gates appeared around Wang Lin's body as well. Protective divine ability. Wang Lin's gaze sharpened. Divine abilities are often used for offense, and even when used defensively, they typically surround the user. It is extremely rare to find an ability that can be cast on others. This was the first time Wang Lin had witnessed a defensive divine ability being cast on someone else. Tang Shan's sect, the Celestial Gate sect in the Immortal Aura continent, was a small faction, not part of the 9 sects and 13 schools. However, it was well known for its abilities, most of which were protective techniques that could be cast on others. That was why they had arrived here so quickly. During the battle at the Second Flower, the Palm Sovereign had witnessed the fierce struggle and kept a close eye on Wang Lin. After Wang Lin shot 3 arrows, based on his understanding of Wang Lin and his own analysis, the Palm Sovereign concluded that Wang Lin would no longer be able to fire another arrow. Otherwise, knowing Wang Lin as he did, the Palm Sovereign was certain that Wang Lin would not have allowed 7 colors to escape while the War Ghost pursued them. As he thought this, the Palm Sovereign knew that if Wang Lin didn't have absolute certainty, he wouldn't have designed the Lion Devours Tiger stratagem. From this point, the Palm Sovereign couldn't deduce Wang Lin's limits. With this judgment, the Palm Sovereign saw a golden opportunity. He had witnessed Wang Lin's severe injuries, and this was his best chance to kill Wang Lin, avenge old grievances, and seize the 3rd soul. Thus, he unleashed all his speed, chasing after the War Ghost's pursuit of 7 colors and arriving at this 4th Blossom ancient graveyard before anyone else. Thanks to the information he had obtained from Miao Yin, he arrived here at the second-to-last level of the ancient graveyard. He had expected that, besides Wang Lin, the 3rd consort might have arrived before him, but he hadn't anticipated Yun Yifeng to be faster. Clearly, Yun Yifeng had some other means or fortune. As soon as Yun Yifeng appeared, he immediately faced a clash of divine abilities, as the force of his primordial sun power collided with the Palm Sovereign's power, causing a series of violent explosions. The shockwaves spread out, and the Palm Sovereign was forced to retreat 3 steps. Once he had assessed the situation, his face darkened. Yun Yifeng advanced, his long blade aimed at the Palm Sovereign. 8 blades sever body and soul technique, empowered by Yun Yifeng's cultivation, descended with earth-shattering force, heading straight for the Palm Sovereign. Having been defeated by Wang Lin, Yun Yifeng would never back down, and in the cave mansion core, he had chosen to follow Wang Lin's command. At this moment, 7 golden gates surrounded him, exuding a warm aura that nurtured his body, even slightly healing his injuries. The 7 golden gates also served as protection, reducing the impact of the shock waves and increasing his speed. Meanwhile, the third consort, Tang Shan, moved gracefully. After casting the 7 golden gates for Wang Lin and Yun Yifeng, she raised her right hand, forming another seal. 9 golden flying swords immediately materialized, weaving together in a sword formation, and with a sharp whistle, they shot toward the Palm Sovereign. The 2 of them attacked together, aiming to battle the Palm Sovereign. The 8 blades sever body and soul technique, combined with Yun Yifeng's cultivation, was incredibly powerful. As it neared, the Palm Sovereign flicked his sleeves, causing 7 colorful rays of light to burst forth, forming 7 rainbows that shot toward Yun Yifeng. With a deafening roar, Yun Yifeng had been injured by Wang Lin earlier, and now, his 7 golden gates shattered. Blood poured from his wounds, but gritting his teeth, he let out a low growl as the 8 blades clashed with the 7 rainbows. 7 of the blades were destroyed in the collision, but the last blade broke through and struck the Palm Sovereign before him. The Palm Sovereign paused, stepping back 3 steps in a deafening explosion. He looked up sharply, and Tang Shan's 9 golden flying swords, infused with a rich, immortal bloodline aura, sped toward him. They moved so fast that they arrived almost simultaneously with the Palm Sovereign's retreat. The Palm Sovereign raised his hands, forming a circle with his thumbs and index fingers, sneering as he directed the circle toward Tang Shan. Golden light erupted from the circle, transforming into countless golden swords that shot out, colliding with Tang Shan's 9 flying swords, shattering them into pieces. The torrent of golden light then surged toward Tang Shan. Tang Shan's wrist flashed with a golden bead, and the 7 golden gates before her shone with immense light, resisting the impact of the 7 colors. Amidst the explosions, blood dripped from the corner of her mouth, and she quickly retreated. Wounded soldiers and weak generals dare to strike at me. The Palm Sovereign stepped forward. But in that instant, Wang Lin raised his hands, making a sudden motion that tore the void apart. The sky-splitting technique surged forth, and a massive rift appeared between heaven and earth, heading straight for the Palm Sovereign. Everything happened in an instant. Just as the Palm Sovereign had broken through Yun Yifeng and Tang Shan's attacks, the rift howled toward him. The Palm Sovereign might not care about the injuries to Yun Yifeng, nor the third consort, but he could not afford to ignore Wang Lin's divine abilities, especially the sky-rending technique. The terrifying power emanating from it caused his pupils to contract sharply. The circle formed by his hands immediately faced Wang Lin, and the cultivation from surviving several profound tribulations exploded in an instant. Palm destroying 3 paths. First, Spirit Annihilation Path. The Palm Sovereign murmured, and golden light surged once more from the circle formed by his hands, transforming into countless sharp swords to strike against Wang Lin's sky-rending technique. Second, Ghost Annihilation Path. The Palm Sovereign's robes expanded, and behind him, a primordial sun materialized. The power of the primordial rules immediately spread, surrounding his body, making him appear as though he were a celestial being. Third, Deity Annihilation Path. The Palm Sovereign bit his tongue, and golden blood sprayed out, forming a huge golden seal. The seal rapidly advanced, growing larger and heading straight for the rift Wang Lin had torn open. Booming sounds echoed, and the endless golden light from the circle of the Palm Sovereign's hands twisted and shattered when it collided with the rift in the sky-rending technique. It rapidly dispersed, and the sun, infused with primordial sun power, followed and slammed toward the rift. Meanwhile, the golden seal howled as it approached. With a massive crash, the heavens darkened, and Wang Lin's sky-rending technique was utterly shattered. However, the primordial sun also vanished with the destruction of the sky-rending technique, leaving only the golden seal, which tore through all barriers and fell toward Wang Lin from above. Without the Liguang Bao, I want to see what you use to fight me. The Palm Sovereign's breath became slightly hurried as he grinned maliciously and charged toward Wang Lin. On the ground, not far from Wang Lin, Xian Luo calmly observed. He had witnessed Wang Lin's various methods along the way, seeing his intellect, persistence, and decisiveness. His admiration for Wang Lin was already very high. At this moment, he was curious to see what kind of method Wang Lin would use to counter the divine abilities of this profound tribulation cultivator. Could he be planning to summon Lien Daozhen's younger brother and use the immortal indestructible body to counter? Xian Luo thought, intrigued, but his eyes suddenly narrowed after a moment. Wang Lin's expression showed no sign of panic. He remained calm. The instant the golden seal broke through the void and fell, he took 3 steps backward. The first step left him still 100 yards away from Xian Luo. The second step brought him within 30 yards of Xian Luo. The third step, and Wang Lin suddenly appeared beside Xian Luo, not in front, but behind him. After taking the 3 steps, Wang Lin immediately sat cross-legged. If Xian Luo could see him, this scene would appear exceedingly strange. Xian Luo turned around to look at Wang Lin, and at the same time, after Wang Lin sat down, he too glanced at the empty space before him. Their gazes seemed to cross, as if they were connected in some unseen way. Xian Luo stared at Wang Lin for a while, until the golden light in the sky flickered. The golden seal, as massive as a mountain, crashed down, now less than 10 yards away. The overwhelming pressure caused the ground around where Wang Lin sat to crack and even sink. Interesting, Xian Luo suddenly smiled. He casually raised his right hand and pointed at the golden seal falling from the sky. The golden seal halted abruptly, stopping 3 yards above the two of them, motionless. That would have been the end of it, but after coming to a stop, the golden seal's light flickered violently, and suddenly, it began to shrink at a visible speed, finally transforming into a palm-sized golden seal that floated gently down, coming to rest in front of Wang Lin. A low buzzing sound emanated from it, as if the seal had gained sentience, trembling and seemingly submitting to Wang Lin. It was clear now that the golden seal had taken solid form and had transformed into a magical artifact. This sudden turn of events left Yun Yifeng, who was preparing to act again, stunned. He hadn't seen Wang Lin make any move. Instead, Wang Lin had retreated 100 yards and sat cross-legged. The golden seal, however, remained eerily still in midair. Tangshan also paused for a moment. The hand seal she had been forming froze. She had intended to use all her strength to provide Wang Lin with a protective divine ability, but this unexpected change left her puzzled. The two of them were merely surprised, but the Palm Sovereign was dumbstruck, his eyes filled with horror. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. Reflexively, he rubbed his eyes. His shock was even greater than when he had seen Wang Lin wield the Liguang Bao. How is this possible? This can't be. I invoked a divine ability, not a magical artifact. That golden seal was formed from my divine ability. It's illusory. It doesn't exist. It's the condensed power of my divine ability. How could it become solid? How could it become a magical artifact? This isn't possible. Absolutely impossible. The Palm Sovereign's body trembled violently. Others might not understand the significance of this scene, but he knew all too well. Transforming the illusory divine ability into something tangible, this ability to reshape the world and create from the forces of fate. The Palm Sovereign's face instantly turned pale, his body staggering backward, instinctively taking a few steps. The astonishment in his eyes was enough to shatter his mind. This fear was something he had never experienced in his entire life. Even in the past, no matter how terrified he had been, compared to this moment, it felt utterly insignificant. He couldn't comprehend it, couldn't imagine it. Or perhaps, he simply dared not guess. This is the Master's elder brother. Only with the 9 sons of Xian Gang and the 9 great heavenly venerables could this be done. The Palm Sovereign's mind trembled. At this moment, he was completely and utterly terrified by what he was witnessing. From a distance, Yun Yifeng, upon seeing the change in the Palm Sovereign's expression, suddenly realized something. His gaze snapped to the golden seal floating in front of Wang Lin. Slowly, as his eyes filled with terror, He immediately understood and hurriedly lowered his head. But his expression was clear, and Wang Lin saw it distinctly, as if it were intentional.